The eastern side of the Cascade Mountains can be a forbidding place. Scorching summers, little to no rainfall, and incredibly rough terrain. This place is known as the channeled Scablands, carved by an unimaginable flow of water. Today, it's almost unnoticeable. Wheat fields dot the landscape, and combines roll through the hills. But one of the most intriguing features of the Scablands is Sun Lake's Dry Falls State Park.
Dry Falls, by all descriptions, is just wow. The hole in the ground, it's a place where people come and stop. They just come here just to relax. This is a farming community. And there's some going on almost 4 generations of farmers that are here just in Coulee City. The system of ecology that we have is called a shrub steppe ecosystem. And shrub steppe literally means it's a high desert. The biggest vegetation or tree is a sagebrush. Those systems don't have a whole lot of rain. In a good year, 10, 11 inches of rain, 7 on the low. But lately we've been seeing numbers like 4 inches of rain. That's just not enough to facilitate or help farmers grow wheat. The story of Ice Age floods is huge. We're smack dab in the middle of what we like to call a premier destination for Ice Age flood studies. I see German chocolate cake out there. Those are layers of lava that were laid down most recently 16, 17 million years ago. Geology terms, what we have is flood basalts to the tune of 300 layers beneath us. Those layers of basalt are right here, about 2.5 miles down. Dry Falls, as you see, it's a plunge pool. If we were to go off the edge here, which I would recommend, it's 400 feet down. It's 3.5 miles across, so it's not just here, it's beyond what we can see.
Where did all the water and layers of rock go? For more than a century, farmers have plucked rough stones from their land and farmed around erratic boulders as big as houses. And for almost as long, the origin of the hundreds of tons of rock was a mystery.
The gentleman who figured out the story of Dry Falls and Ice Age floods was Professor J. Harlan Bretz. He came here back in the 20s, and actually 100 years ago, 1922, he came out to the desert to look at this amazing feature behind us, which is the Grand Coulee.
Nearly 60 miles long, the Grand Coulee is one of the only features like it on Earth.
The Grand Coulee is a spectacular spot to see an example of the sheer power of water moving across the land.
Bretz could tell something catastrophic happened here.
The land was carved out by this massive flow of water that removed all the soil. Things that would normally hold life, moved it someplace else. What was left was a scab. Scablands from space, you can see it. Scablands down here, you can't see.
Bretz's source of water was Glacial Lake Missoula, sitting at a depth of 2,000 feet. Imagine a lake so deep that it requires a submarine to see the bottom. Towering mountains around look like hills. Now imagine what happens when the dam breaks.
The water that was flowing through here was going about 60 to 65 miles per hour. And as we're standing, would have been 350 feet above our head.
It continued for days, eventually pooling up in enormous lakes in the scars it created.
We were able to follow gravel, even flood-rafted boulders that ended up in places as far away as Eugene, Corvallis, and the Willamette Valley.
But what does any of this have to do with agriculture?
Wind-blown soils, which we call loess, they tremendously affected agriculture. Mainly, they moved it. The soil that was here went away.
The loess settled on the bottom of massive lakes. Over the last few thousand years, the water evaporated, leaving behind the bone-dry loess.
This is loess. Loess is, look how fine powder this is. This comes from the last ice age, meaning a glacier once sat on top of this stuff. This stuff drains really well, but it blows away really easy.
The winds blew it far and wide, nearly 500 miles, creating one of the best places in the world to grow wheat.
Just south of us, we have some of the richest farmlands in North America. We have places that grow potatoes, onions, and of course, wheat. Folks grow dryland wheat. Why is it called dryland wheat? As they don't irrigate wheat here. The soils we have are well drained. You need to have a soil that water percolates down through well, but you also need to have a soil that holds the moisture. There's a lot of hope, there's a lot of persistence, there's a lot of prayers that people have that get water to come. And when it's here, we do pretty well.
The channeled Scablands today aren't so inhospitable. They're part of the lifeblood of Washington State, creating countless jobs and livelihoods for families. With a little persistence and rain from above, this remarkable place does indeed reap what it sows.